Where did that come from? Why did she use a main Terran? It's on Wikipedia. My Liquipedia. At the time, it had more build variety than Zerg. I mean, yeah, it still does. It's debatable. Anywho, we are in the grand finals of this week's Open Cup. It's another PvP. In the top left of Death Aura, we have the red Protoss for Team BIG. It's ShowTimE. In the bottom right, as the blue Protoss for Team Liquid, it's Harstem. One of his few finals appearances. Harstem plays in, I want to say, almost every cup, honestly. I constantly see him on the bracket, but as far as seeing him in the round of 4 or the finals, that's been more rare. But it's getting less rare, it feels, every month. I think it was kind of last month or maybe February. Wait, last month was February. Or maybe January, where you saw him kind of come in and was like, oh, that's nice. That's awesome for him. Well done. And then I think February, there was another one. And obviously, we have it here today for March. So it's happening more often. Feels like the guys that Harstem were supposed to beat, but they never would, and kind of made, you know, me, people, public, general question, like, okay, where is he? It's finally being figured out. Like, he does beat people he's supposed to beat. I honestly think for a while Harstem was just such a charming young guy that he was kind of, you know, until doing well enough in tournaments, you know, making it into tournaments, of course, getting into a couple of round of 16s, whatever, that, you know, people just wanted to cheer for him and kind of maybe even inflated the performance of him a little bit, right? Not to say that he isn't good, just like, yeah, it was maybe a little inflated, the charisma effects, perhaps. But then recently it feels like he's actually just been able to figure out whatever it was that was stopping him from actually being a more solid player, I suppose. I felt like Harstem was, and still can be, a player that he has his own peculiar style, and sometimes this looks amazing, and then when it doesn't, it looks really questionable, and you're like, maybe you shouldn't try your own style. Maybe you should try and follow the crowd, right? But I don't know if he's actually has tried to follow the crowd, because I'm thinking more of like a PvT, to be honest, where I see him be a little bit more odd than other Protosses, or if he actually just finally figured out what it is that he needs to do. But I'm glad to see that Harstem is doing well. He's in the finals here today against ShowTimE, who is a player we see a ton in the finals. Certainly Europe's most consistent Protoss. And that Harstem's kind of up there where, you know, I guess the best, easiest way to put this thing is that it always felt like Harstem was supposed to be in the top 2 of Europe Protosses, and then actually never really was. Kind of had top 1 being just ShowTimE reign supreme, and then you'd really have a lot of arguments and questions about who followed up ShowTimE. But it'd be cool if Harstem was actually that, you know, guaranteed number 2 guy, or hell, even number 1 if he beat ShowTimE here today. That would be quite impressive. PvP is a weird matchup. We just learned that in ShowTimE versus, Harstem versus Max Packs, but you would think ShowTimE versus Harstem would be a little less weird. It's PvP. It's just the matchup. So we have ShowTimE with that Stargate building a Void Ray. We have Harstem going for a 3 gateway with a proxy. It's gonna get aggressive. It's gonna be determined here and now. ShowTimE's got a couple of scouting stalkers. I think he saw a bit of the stalker. Certainly saw the adepts anyways. 2 shield batteries are already underway. 1's already done. Void Ray's gonna help clear out the adepts in the main. Not actually the Void Ray's wanted job. It applied for the job of killing stalkers and instead ended up killing adepts, and it's like, I suppose. Alright. That's good enough. ShowTimE loses 5 probes, but that's fine, because he still has a natural nexus, and Harstem does not. He's also getting his void count higher, didn't take any hull damage, he's got 2 shield batteries now done, still has overcharge, by the way, didn't just pop it immediately because he was afraid. And Harstem's attack, it's got one more chance. This is the chance. The first one was the appetizer, this is the main course. You don't get dessert in this game. Probably not anyways. And we'll see if it works. We'll force fields to push those stalkers forward, but then the Void Rays themselves are still quite a threat. You can't control how they move. They are flyers. They don't have to worry about force fields. As long as they're in range of these shield batteries, those Void Rays are way too powerful. Harstem is trying to get a third Nexus back up at home. But eventually ShowTimE could recognize that this actually isn't as serious as he would think. Looks like he's already going to commit to 2 extra cannons though, so... Or, yeah, 2 cannons and a shield battery. So he's actually thinking this is like full committal. And he's not right about that, so he might get a desert. He just might. ShowTimE does build an Oracle, and it's going to go across the map and get that much better scouts. Because right now ShowTimE is a bit in the dark. Now he has to take this seriously, as we saw, right? If the Stalkers of Harstem were at one-shot potential, their shield batteries don't matter as much anymore. So Harstem, you know, had a chance here. And ShowTimE had to take it seriously. But now, Harstem, Twilight Council is also on the way. Building probes, or at least was building probes. There we go. It's gonna lose some probes, though. Natural Nexus not protected by a shield battery. It's ShowTime's about to have 4 Void Rays. It's gonna work on his own Twilight Council, finally. As that is one thing that was really concerning, is that ShowTimE didn't have additional technology, and you don't really go into just mass Void Rays at this league. It's not gonna work out. So ShowTimE finally adds on not just a Twilight Council to start up Blink, probably, but also gets that +1. I suppose we could... Oracle might have just barely seen. I don't think it did. Didn't see the retreat, but ShowTime's up and attacked for the last 10 seconds, so might be assuming it's happening. Twilight Council still not being used. Oh, because it never got built. My bad. Totally just assume a Twilight Council and a Forge had gone down. There's a Twilight Council for ShowTimE. Harstem, then already on his way to Blink, is going to have a big lead in that. It's a lot of control over the game that Harstem has actually gotten himself. By applying that pressure, ShowTimE had to take it seriously with the Stargate opener. He had to go into Void Rays, and those Void Rays get worse and worse as time goes on. So now I do wonder, actually, since the Twilight Council wasn't done, does he just go into charge? That's what I was waffling about earlier. Does he just go into Immortal Charge lot? He wouldn't be that far behind on Blink. It wouldn't be the worst thing. Hey, he's gonna go to Blink. Alright. ShowTimE, despite being very behind on that Blink, is still ahead in that +1 and very ahead on the economy. That was always the problem of the game for Harstem, was that if he didn't do any different damage, he was going to be behind a lot in the economy, and that is still true. He's down 13 probes. Third Nexus, not even really that much faster. ShowTimE is just, he's got all the probes he invested into, defended them properly, and now has a lot of cash. So while the upgrades, you know, they're probably going to match each other. They both have Chrono Boost. They both can pick and choose what upgrades they go into. It's ShowTimE that can choose to add on 6 gateways, or 2 robos and a robotics bay, or what have you. So if third bases are up, they could grab all those gases as well. And will eventually. But immediately a +2 for ShowTimE. Warp Prism's actually even on the way. I guess he is going to be hitting an attack with that Warp Prism. It won't be with +2. He's getting more gateways. I was gonna say, didn't seem like he had a whole ton. 6, and now he's going up to 9 gateways. I don't know, if he's trying to hit a +2 attack, this could be mistimed. Harstem's going up to the disruptors pretty quickly. Let's see what happens. ShowTimE moves out at the exact wrong moment. That's awkward. Harstem is not going to go into that stasis trap. He sees it as well. Very nicely done. What's this? He's gonna get a cancel. No cancel. That's a kill, as ShowTimE was too busy trying to respond. Didn't have the APMs to actually cancel that. Harstem's Blink Stalker squad already doing quite a lot. A kill on a Nexus and bringing the army back. Maybe even get to Void Ray. That'd be neat. And ShowTimE is not going to continue having the super large economic lead. The 4th base of Harstem's already over 50% done, and the probe count has finally been bridged. What does ShowTimE have then? Much faster +2. And he does have the Warp Prism. He could still do the attack, and he'll have the upgrade lead, and he'll have the army supply lead. Harstem is just now adding on his disruptors. The first 2 are on the way. Is that going to be enough to hold on? Because that's what he has to depend on. That's what I was building up to. Harstem was able to buy himself a couple extra, you know, a minute basically. But was that enough? Well, that's just odd.
Game paused. Game resumed.
What? The whole of Germany just lost internet? Hello? That's not a good sign. I think when an entire country loses internet, they gotta start talking about nefarious cyber warfare. Thank you, Plaguebird, for the 9 months. I don't know if I said that or not. Are they in the same city, perhaps? I don't think they are. I don't know where Mr. Pink lives.
Game paused.
I don't think they are, right? ShowTimE doesn't live near Crefeld, does he? ShowTime's still with us. That might have been an odd StarCraft thing where, like, maybe Naruto was actually lagging and then inadvertently caused other ones too. Oh, no, ShowTime definitely was. All right. Couldn't do anything for the last 6 seconds. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. Oh, that's awkward. Hmm.
Data received. Analyzing.
So,
Analyzing.
you know, what really sucks is that the resume from replay has been bugged for years at this point. It's not a big enough deal that people really care, but it's been bugged. The bug is that you can't lobby link or join from the friends list. You have to get direct invites from people in the lobby. Take a little while. I don't know when Reddit started sending emails, but Jesus. I do not want to get Reddit emails. BattleNet has some issues. Well, yeah, that makes sense. You could tell me that, like, a tree fell over in your yard, and if you said it's because of BattleNet, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. BattleNet is kind of I don't want to say shitty, because I don't think the whole of BattleNet is actually shitty. As much as I just would like to easily, you know, complain about everything Blizzard does. But this is a slightly longer whatchamacallit. What do you call these things? It was a slightly longer open cup than usual. So it's starting an hour later for us Americans because it's a European cup, so it's still stuck on their time and they have not sprung forward yet. They do that, I guess, this Sunday. But even on top of that, usually it ends... I mean... Usually it ends like around now, so give an extra hour. Yeah. But then we're just game 1 in a best of 5, which is why I'm like, this is gonna go on for a while longer. I might have to move my Twitch bounty stream onto another day. Huh. That's gonna be awkward. Alright, well, I'll figure that out later. Alright, we're back in the game. We had ourselves a pseudo base trade on the way as Harstem moves into the 3rd base of ShowTimE after canceling his 4th, or killing his 4th actually. ShowTimE has already been setting up for an attack. He's been setting up for a while. It's hitting with +2. No charge for either side. Harstem decides to recall most of his stalkers, but not all of them. I think that might have just been a mistake, something he had to do very, very quickly. But I was talking about how Harstem has disruptors, and disruptors are going to be really king if there's more than 2 of them. There's only 2 now, however. Harstem just got the snipe on the War Prism, and that's a humongous deal. I didn't think Harstem was going to be able to do that, but Harstem took the opportunity and is now going to be able to defend his bases. So that was his 4th base that died, but ShowTimE is only just now rebuilding his 4th base, so it's not so bad, and Harstem would still have disruptor technology. But Harstem's been behind the economy for a long time. ShowTime's still winning on that regard. And that's, you know, if Harstem doesn't start getting good disruptor shots, then yeah, he's gonna end up losing this game. Which, oh, that one was very close to being an amazing disruptor shot. Tried to stop the stalkers from retreating. Does stop about 6 of them from retreating. So that's a pretty good disruptor shot, absolutely. ShowTimE, avoiding that 3rd one means... Oh, actually, there's another one. My bad. Now there's no disruptor shots. But does ShowTimE actually have it in him to push up the ramp? He still has that upgrade lead. He's going to have it for a long time. Harstem's +2 only recently started. A couple of Phoenix have been made from the Stargate, which makes a lot of sense, and something I honestly just didn't really consider. Of course you could go into Phoenix to lift the disruptors, because all it takes is the lift, and it cancels the shot. Phoenix are super effective against disruptors. I just kind of forgot. Of course he has a Stargate. He still has 3 Void Rays flying around. And that is bad news for Harstem. You know, if he had 4 disruptors from the get-go, took a couple of surprise shots, and ShowTimE was like, oh shit, disruptors, and then went to Phoenix, then maybe Harstem still has a shot. But ShowTimE didn't really take any surprise disruptor shots to the face, and now just has Phoenix with a very, very large army supply lead, and Harstem's not going to be able to really hope for the Hail Mary disruptors anymore. This game has been a lot about economy. As you can see, ShowTime's won it most of the time, and then a blip when his 4th base was killed. But he's been able to use that to just amass almost twice the army supply of his opponent. There's the Phoenix liftoffs, and Harstem will be losing game 1. Not even getting not even one good disruptor shot. Come on! Not even giving us the fireworks. GG. So ShowTimE does, in fact, win that game. It's always scary. You know, it's just the general idea of more army versus higher technology, whether that's more army versus someone transferring into disruptors like we saw there, and then until they have a certain number of disruptors, they're not really going to be able to hold. It could be if someone's trying to go into a bunch of Stargates, that's a lot of investment that's not paying off right then and there. They can't hold. That's the question. That's the story, and that particular story goes ShowTime's way. He's the... I was gonna say the Rapunzel, but actually, I mean, she doesn't really do very much, does she? Do I call her the victor of the story? I don't know about that one. Especially if we're talking about the actual Rapunzel story, which is like really grim. But anyways. I'm gonna grab my food. Okay. Question is, which food is it? Houseless Gamer bought me tacos. Of which I thank you. But coincidentally, I also bought food today. And timed it out. So... it smells like tacos. It's tacos! Houseless Gamer got here first. Ooh, maybe I'll show him off afterwards. Thanks, man. I'll have one taco and my hamburger. I'm gonna be really fat today. Alright, so Showtime now up 1-0. We move on to Lightshade. Top left, we have Showtime. Bottom right, it's Harstem. Now my hamburger will arrive in about 10 minutes. Guess I have dinner for today and lunch for tomorrow, right? Okay, so. Nothing interesting with the placements. Lightshade. Not really a map that you can do any low ground shenanigans on. I don't even think it's that good for like a cannon rush, is it? I don't think so. This stream has more delay than Harstem's. That's not something to XD about. Who still uses XD anyways? See, for me, XD was something that I used a lot when I was a teenager. Talking in my AIM chats. And then eventually on Skype. And then by the around that time, I stopped using it. Anyways, the, it's not a surprise. I feel like maybe something's changed. Maybe I have, like, more people watching the player streams, so they are confused. But I feel like it's been more in the last 2 months I've gotten asked about the stream delay. But I'll talk about it once again. I'll explain it real quick. Casters have to have a stream delay for tournaments, so that match fixing. So that stream cheating is not an issue. Players do not have to have a stream delay, but then take their own risk. They acknowledge. They actually have to say, "Yes, I know. I take a risk that someone could use my stream to stream cheat." Yeah. And then that's how it is. So we, as commentators, cannot take that risk for them. It's uncouth. It's not professional. Anyways. So, 2 Adepts coming out for Harstem versus the Stalker Sentry opener of Showtime, which is one of the more macro-oriented openers. Shockingly, it's actually with the Stargate. So of the openers I say a Stargate usually goes with, the most obvious is 2 Adepts, right? Cheaper on the gas. Can get a really fast target if you do that. Then there's the 2 Stalkers, which provides a little bit of pressure. And then there's this Stalker Sentry opener, which, you know, 100 gas for a Sentry. And Showtime also started up Warp Gate. I mean, the Stargate's really not as fast, I guess, as it could be on one base. It is still a 1-base Stargate. And Harstem is committing to another 2 Adepts past the 4 that he created. So if it's going to be 6, it's going to be 8. We got ourselves an aggressive opener. Showtime's going to be able to scout this very quickly thanks to his opener with the Sentry. Hallucination coming out as fast as really possible. Sees 2 Adepts waiting at home. I think he didn't even have to see the another 2 Adepts pop out. 6 Adepts might be the cutoff this time around. Harstem, I mean, because he is scouted, I don't know if he's going to commit to the 8 total. He would come in with the Warp Gate being done. He is, okay. I don't know if it's really be worth not doing that, but alright. That's a lot of adepts. We saw Neeb defend this with a full wall off, and it seemed like it went well for him, but there was other reasons why Neeb ended up losing that game. This time around, we're seeing what usually happens, but then, ooh, the Oracle coming in, the Force Field coming in. Ooh, it's like a little bit of a gap. That was odd. 3 adepts actually head to that main base, but a good SimCity from ShowTime means that one warp-in denies at least a couple of probes worth of damage, while the other one not available. It is still going to be a trade. That's the first Oracle that did 7 probes of damage to Harstem. The second Oracle that ShowTime got was able to help defend. But damn, it's awkward. Adepts getting into the main again is a big problem. The first time around, it's like, well, it's really difficult to not let them into the main, honestly. It's not impossible, but it is difficult. But the second time, that was the probe not being in position. That was not a fast enough response. Maybe a bigger mistake than the first one, actually. Maybe. But anyways, both not perfectly defended. Harstem manages to get the better trade on the probes, so he's up by 2. Very small amount, but he is up in probes. And ShowTime, well, it's actually initiating a counterattack. So ShowTime is down 2 probes, yes, but he does have faster blink. He has 2 oracles that are pretty much guaranteed to get a couple of probes worth of damage. And he's got an attack that actually Harstem's not prepared for. Holy shit. Holy shit! Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Geez, Stalker's coming in here. Shield battery not quite finished, but also not being targeted. Finishes, and now could be overcharged, if there's energy. ShowTime wanted to go right after the army, hoping to get a snowball effect, but wasn't able to find it, and as such has to retreat. Now down 6 probes, as it looks like he committed to a couple additional warp-ins of adepts. But damn, Zoom Waffle, 50 subs? I actually did not believe the number when I saw it. Holy shit. Thank you so much, Zoom Waffle. I don't know what it is, but happy Zoom Waffle sub day. Damn, mark it on the calendars. I don't think I've gotten many 50 sub gift bombs. Maybe you're like the second one. that's something, dude. I'll give a little toast in your honor in a second. Yeah, after the game ends. So ShowTime committed to a couple more adepts, which are not so far very worth it. Has found himself down 4 probes at this point, as they both saturate 2 bases. There's only so many probes you have ahead of your opponent. 2 oracles, as I said before, almost guaranteed to do something else. Get a couple of probes, stasis trap, something, right? So far, just getting the scouting. But ShowTime has faster blink. He certainly has a faster nexus, and the +1 is similar. So we'll see the income graph. It has been Harstem favored. It's at times actually pretty significantly, but you know, it's dipping back. Zoom Waffle keeping StarCraft 2 alive. Yeah, exactly. Looks like the adepts did get into the main base. Killed 4 probes. Maybe the oracles helped. Maybe they got the transferring probe that built the 3rd. Something like that. But ShowTime has all of a sudden taken a 7-worker lead. As perhaps Harstem invested into more warp-ins. Seems to be the case. Investing into a warp prism as well. So saturating on 2 bases, and then not much more beyond that, at least not consistently. As it does look like he's setting up for a pokey poke. I'm gonna call it a poke. I mean, a warp prism makes it pretty legit, but I just don't think it's gonna do a whole lot. Right now, the army supplies look good, but that's because ShowTime hasn't warped in a little while. ShowTime's got 3 more gateways on the way. Almost done. Charge and +1. Pretty close to finishing. Harstem's gonna need to hit very hard, very fast if he's gonna take advantage of this moment, which it seems like he just might. Still has that 10 army supply lead. Gets the Oracle. Does have to alert himself and put Blink on cooldown. And ShowTime has a shield battery both on his 3rd and his natural, but that was enough of an alert to have him warp in, get another shield battery, and now charge is done. ShowTime, let's see if he can maybe defend perfectly. So far, so good, even getting Harstem Stalker killed. Or if he slips up and is out of position. Because he is taking this super seriously. Even getting an immortal right now. I think ShowTime's fine. Harstem's not all winning here. He's got +2 started a little bit faster than ShowTime. His own charge is going to finish soon enough. He actually got a Dark Shrine as he moved out and is using a fake Warp Prism. Oh, I got bamboozled. That's hallucination. Isn't he using the real Warp Prism somewhere? There you are. I found it. So should be using that to do some harassment. But Harstem is now falling behind in the 4th base timing. ShowTime very aggressively expanding. That is quite quick. And under the eyes of the hallucination makes this a little bit awkward. I think you kind of hope that that goes a little unscouted a little bit longer. So your shield batteries are at least done. But it looks like ShowTime's close enough. Figures that Harstem's going to move over there. And is going to get the faster 4th Nexus. Harstem's on his way as well. But with it now heading into 4 bases, both getting +2 weapons, DT action, I would expect them both to add on first a Dark Shrine for ShowTime, and then also Robotics Bay for both of them. That's what I would expect, but these DTs actually, just the timing of them is so awkward, you know? It's not like a 2-base cheese or something like that, but it's also not super late game quite yet. So ShowTime had not already gotten a couple of cautionary cannons, which you'll see a lot of Protoss do, probably around the time the 3-base saturated. ShowTime did not, so pretty perfect timing from Harstem. So, what, 12 kills was it with the DTs? Giving him a probe lead. It's not the biggest lead, and it didn't cause any other distractions, which is usually a lot more fatal. So that was a blip there, I think, and ShowTime's actually fine. ShowTime getting a pretty late scout on this move, but his army once again close enough. +3 starts up for Harstem. ShowTime getting a Templar Archives, and then +3. Had enough gas for both. Only working off of 3 gas though. I mean, both of them still only working off of 3. Harstem added 1 more. Okay, but still, it's very gas light, so definitely no transition to the Robotics Bay like I was expecting. I thought it'd be a little bit faster, but both of them choosing the option to fill out their gateway count a little bit more. And then an attack. I mean, Harstem did just get, you know, bopped as he was trying to add on that technology. ShowTime was able to successfully attack into him with just a lot of gateway units, so I could see why both of them are pushing that Robotics Bay off quite a bit. But now finally ShowTime adds on his gases, adds on the Robotics Bay, and now it's Harstem who might be falling behind in that technology, which, you know, is fine if he has an army supply lead, a gateway army lead, which he currently does, but only by a little bit. But it, you know, becomes less likely as you both max out. Harstem not only has a slight army supply lead, but is just taking control of ShowTime's natural. There's no Archons for ShowTime yet. The Templar Archives is done, but he hadn't warped any in, and this actually becomes extremely awkward. Harstem just delivering on what could be a fatal blow to ShowTime here as he marches into ShowTime's main base. What happened? ShowTime, without any Archons, couldn't respond, didn't realize the army was moving into the natural as fast as it was. He does take out the Warp Prism with a couple of suicidal stalkers, but the rest of his army has to awkwardly go up this ramp, but there's still no Archon. ShowTime can't break force fields. His charge lots are stuck behind, his Guardian Shield doesn't help, and Harstem is gonna win this game in ShowTime's main base. Oh my goodness, GG. Positioning. Positioning. Potatoes. Oh boy. I'm gonna get into the next lobby and then I'm gonna go take a shot. What? Okay, well, I don't know what I can do now. I don't know what I can do. $300 from Zoom Waffle on top of 50 gifted subs? That's a lot of cash. Damn. Zoom Waffle. I hope you get paid well for whatever you do. Because you were supporting StarCraft left, right, and center. Thank you very much. I'm gonna be right back. I don't have any good whiskey, but I did buy soju. I'm gonna drink it in my Australia shot cup. Cheers, Zoom Waffle. Grape soju is actually delicious. It's redonkulous. If you guys ever have this at your liquor store, buy it. It's good. It's shootable, and it's like, I don't know, like 13% alcohol. All right. Woof. Woof. Yes, force field, good unit to have. Toy have. That's what we learned there. The bottom left is ShowTimE. Top right of Oxide, we have Harstem, who outmaneuvered ShowTimE. Like, it's actually pretty simple. Harstem didn't have necessarily really the best chance there to win with that push. He had, you know, lead, sure, why not? But to win, nah. He was only up 9 army supply, up against shield batteries, up against a very similar, powerful army composition. Falling behind the robotics bay technology, kind of had to do something. And if ShowTimE had Archons, that already is a much better fight for him. Still kind of awkward, because Harstem did have high ground, even in only the natural. But it's still, you know, more of a fight. As soon as Harstem got into the natural and then into the main, I mean, that was just like, there's no way anyone really takes that fight. And ShowTimE just had to be more up in his natural than he was at his third. But he was, you know, kind of preoccupied a lot of time with defending his third and his fourth. That's what he had done just a minute before that. So he wasn't thinking all in, kind of, on that natural, right? Can happen, that can happen. So it's tied up. Big tax return there. Thing is, I actually did get a pretty big tax return. I'm just being blessed. And my hamburger came. I'm gonna grab it while we watch the probes dance. All right. What happened? Nothing important? Good. Just an adept being made. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. It wasn't the cheeseburger that got me. It was the tater tots. I had to have a tater tot. They're so good. But that was actually really important. Harstem letting, what was it, a single adept into the main just got 5 probes. That is super important and super bad for Harstem. Because otherwise they were doing fairly similar openers as far as the Nexus timing goes. But as far as the technology goes, it is a bit different. ShowTimE once again committing to a Stargate here. He's going to be looking for more probe damage. And in fact, wow, Harstem not going to play out this game. Like, yeah, nah. That was already a really bad start. He was only down 2 probes, but the Oracle was going to control him and scout him. And then the Twilight Council wasn't any faster for him than it would be for ShowTimE, so it's not like he gets any advantages anywhere else. He's just constantly disadvantaged. So he just taps out. Super quick third game. Of which I cast approximately 10% of it. Amazing. People on YouTube aren't gonna have a fun time with this one. CG buy me soju, they don't sell it here. What if I could? I don't know what the laws on shipping alcohol is. Saw a great clip of you and Scarlett and some people chilling in Korea. Oh, that was probably from their first team house. If I had to guess. It's the only time it would have been filmed. And if it's anything else, then I wonder where it could be from. I'm gonna take another shot. You know, 50 gifted subs and $300. It's a party right there. It's all going to my travel fund for when COVID's over. Actually, when I'm vaccinated, I can kind of do whatever I want. I mean, I'm not going to, but definitely crossed my mind that as soon as I'm vaccinated and I wait a couple of weeks, I could plan a trip to Korea who are accepting people. I'd still have to do the quarantine, I imagine. I don't know if they're actually considering, like, vaccine proof so that I wouldn't have to, but it crossed my mind. I love traveling. I love Korea. But I'm like, nah, that's not responsible. Alright. Top left of Romana side, we have ShowTimE. Bottom right is Harstem. And Harstem let a single adept get into the main, couldn't track it, chase it down, and lost 5 probes, and that's kind of it. If it wasn't a Stargate opener, he might have given it a go. He might have even planned on going for a Dark Shrine and hoped that his opponent wouldn't scout it, and that's also why he tapped out, because the Oracle was kind of guaranteed to scout it. Or it might just be because he knew that he would never be able to recoup the losses. The Oracle would always control him and scout him, and the Stalker numbers and composition wouldn't really be any different. That's 5 probes in the early game of PvP. That's sometimes it. That's sometimes PvP. It's a brutal matchup. What's that? You missed the wall? Fuck you. You were wearing a funky hat and jamming out to some tunes. That might have been when I wore hats, but I mean, I don't recall wearing funky hats. Like a beanie? Like a baseball cap? That's what I wore. I don't know. But yeah, it was fun times. Their first quote-unquote team house was kind of like a it's like in a basement in Taiwan. It's very small, very dark. But we had some fun times. I think it's like the most I ever visited them was when they lived there, because Itaewon's actually in Seoul. Where the next team house they got was like the south, like just on the edge of Seoul, I guess you would kind of say, to the south. And then they got a team house that was to the west of Seoul, again kind of on the outskirts. So it went from like Itaewon being a 20-minute subway train to like a 40-minute one, which, yeah, it's really annoying. And their other apartments also were kind of in the relative middle of nowhere, not a whole lot to do. That's also where I bet no regret to lick tteokbokki sauce off of a speaker that had been there for like a day. And I'd give him $50, and he did it. There's this interesting story of the day. So anything interesting? Ah, yes, double Stargates, as in 1 and 1 Stargate, not 2 Stargates for one person. ShowTimE goes for an Oracle, Harstem goes for an Oracle. Neither one of them have the ability to scout that they went for an Oracle quite yet, as it looks like they went double Stalker into Sentry by the looks of it. Hallucination for ShowTimE might... No. It looks like it could see the Oracle, it does not. Harstem's Sentry... It must have been Stalker, Sentry, Stalker for ShowTimE then. I mean, that tiny bit of a difference, the Stalker first versus Sentry with the first crew versus the second, could have been big if it wasn't for Harstem actually having a shield battery. One probe does still die, but the Oracle can't do very much else. Oh, Harstem about to lose it. Stalker, I saw you. You were about to shoot. You were gonna go for it. Anyways. Harstem's Oracle being this low is still not great. Of course, it didn't do anything either. Second Oracle from Harstem gives some potential. They both went 2 Oracles into a Twilight Council. Identical build so far, except for the timing of that Sentry. ShowTimE moving into the natural. There is a shield battery. There's a couple of units. Could still try and target fire the probes for like 2 or 3 probes, which is exactly what he's going to do. And actually going to go 5, 6, 7 probes. Yep, that's more than I thought I was going to do. Adept's gonna go ahead and march in and actually just go after the probes. And the sentries... Wait, no, I got confused. Harstem's Oracles respond defensively. That was confusing. Respond defensively to help clear up the Adepts. ShowTimE's Oracles did come in to do more damage, but they were just late. At the end of the day, Harstem down now 6 probes. ShowTimE loses one of his Oracles and a handful of Adepts, but that army supply should not be a big contributing factor for the next couple of minutes. So it won't be a contributing factor at all. Harstem needs some serious revenge, which he does find a little bit. The 2 Oracles are already severely weakened. Definitely not the same circumstance as last game, where Harstem was just straight up behind and really, yeah, just may as well just tap out. But still a situation where ShowTimE can feel very nice, very good about this opener. Third Nexus comes down a little bit faster for ShowTimE as well. He's going to keep that economic lead. He's got similar timed blink and +1, so it's just he's gonna have a bit more. Faster gateways. A couple more stalkers. Whatever. In this case, he invests into a robo, which Harstem's not going to do. ShowTimE might be doing this because he's wary of Harstem trying to make a comeback via DTs. Harstem might be trying to move off, not get a robo. Maybe the soldier's already affecting me. He's gonna try not to get a robo because honestly, the robo, unless you plan on an attack, isn't that useful when you're going blink stalker. You know, if you don't need an observer for DTs, that doesn't need a robo. If you don't need immortals because you're producing the same or more stalkers, then you don't need a robo. If you're not going to attack and harass, then you don't need a warp prism. You don't need a robo. You're all about building stalkers and getting upgrades. So the more you can push that off, sometimes the better it is. It's also a bit riskier, of course, but can be pretty good. So he's pushed that off quite a ways. ShowTimE has his, could produce 1, maybe 2 observers, kind of have that map vision in general. And that is definitely important, but it gets a lot more important when we talk about disruptors. Right now, it's just, of course, good to have. But of course, right now, they have oracles, so they don't observer, you know, whatever. ShowTimE is going to get 2 observers, and then I might just be it from the robo. That's all I wanted. Seems that way. So then, who might try and go into the faster robotics bay? Harstem tried the first time around, and it didn't find himself successful. And then ShowTimE has yet to really do it. ShowTimE was going into robotics bay on the second game, but that's not why he lost the game. He just was completely out of position, and force fields are cool. The smell of the food is starting to get to me, guys. I have to make sure, you know what? A little bit of engagement. Hold on. Harstem did go for a robo, but did not invest into a warp prism. It's actually going into some quicker robotics bay technology, so there you go. So this attack isn't really an attack. All right. So you have to open up the takeout carriers so that it doesn't steam and, like, you know, sog everything up. Like, you know, I don't want soggy tater tots. But then it also means that the smell is just right in my face. Good God. Willpower. A lot more zealots being warped in, as ShowTimE does have charge, and is also going to be just seconds away from having Archons. He's going to take a fight, feeling very confident with the amount of charge lots he had, and Harstem can't really do anything about that. He's got to retreat. Now, this would be where Archons are very useful against the number of charge lots we see here. Oh, good stasis trap. Excellent stasis trap. Not just the zealots being taken care of, but also creating kind of a force field. This would be where Archons would be really nice, but then it's also where Disruptors are going to be potentially. Disruptors aren't as hey-movie, that's for sure. And they can have specific troubles dealing with charge lots. Nice micro from both of them. Harstem saw that ShowTimE saw that there was a stasis trap and tried to kill the Zealot before it popped the stasis trap, but it didn't. Excellent. These guys are very good at this game. Another stasis trap. There are 2 stasis traps. One's about to disappear. ShowTimE wants to commit to this. Behind it, he's got a robotics band, a second robo. But he knows he's hitting Harstem before he's quite prepared. This Stalker is going to see the Disruptor. Second Stalker gets the second stasis trap, which means gotta go. No stasis traps. Gonna try and take a big concave. So many charge lots. Disruptors have got to get a good hit here, and they are going to find a decent hit to start things off. About 6 of them going down. Second Disruptor not finding a whole lot, and the charge lot on charge lot action is actually going ShowTimE's way, at least to begin with. That third Disruptor actually helping a whole ton right there as Harstem takes a 40 supply lead and makes ShowTimE look foolish for even trying this. Of course, there was an overcharged shield battery helping that entire time, which really contributes to any engagement whatsoever, but I didn't think it was going to contribute this much. 40 supply down, and ShowTimE's got to tap out. GG. Harstem will bring us to game 5. So, guaranteed final game coming up on Jagannatha. I'm trying to think of a pun, and I can't quite get there. My brain's not working fast enough. I will not be looking forward to this being in next season's map pool. There we go. If we even have a map pool next season. I mean, who knows? Honestly, the fact that a Grandmaster is losing to a Master is just embarrassing. Ah, just kidding. The bottom left, we have red Protoss, ShowTimE. Top right, blue Protoss, Harstem. ShowTimE was sizing up the situation, thought he had the chance, pulled the trigger, and it misfired. This is the best analogy I can come up with. It looked like an okay shot. You know, he got a good concave, he had a lot of charge lots. Harstem's Disruptors could definitely whiff. And instead, they got 2 pretty good shots, which was enough to not just, you know, take the engagement, but take it really one-sidedly. If they didn't get any zealots, if there was like perfect splits, if they just misfired, you know, completely whiffed, ShowTimE probably does enough damage to at least pull back and play out the game, you know? He's like, okay, I'm not winning, I'll just pull back, it's fine. And maybe he's down like 10 supply. Instead, he, you know, was committing, and was committing more, and seemed like it was possible, but it really wasn't. And then was down 40 supply, which, you know, of course he didn't know at the time. He doesn't know how far down in supply he is, but he knows he didn't break his opponent's 4th base, didn't even break the stack defense there, and didn't even, like, kill the disruptors. So, pretty bad game from then on. Harstem just needed to confidently counter, and it's what we saw. Enough to force the JJ. Now Harstem's got a cheeky probe. Could just be for, you don't know what I'm doing. I'm not touching you. You don't know. I think it is. If the probe stuck around, it'd be for Twilight Council 100% and a Dark Shrine 100%. But it's not sticking around, so. It could see like a Warp Prism or an Oracle that is shift queued. Unlikely, but it could. It is just trying to be as hidden as possible so that when ShowTimE goes searching for it with his double stalkers and maybe a scouting probe, he never finds it. Never gets the confirmation that it's nothing. What you gonna do? It kind of works. What you gonna do? There's an extra syllable in there. I don't think it actually works. I see what you were going for, though. I did. If we don't have new maps, I actually don't care that much. But of course, I realize why people would care. And I absolutely think we should have new maps, 100%. But as a player, I don't really care. As a commentator, I don't really care. But it just be, you know, be a bad sign of things in general. That StarCraft can't even get off its ass to input some new maps, press the little beat boot buttons, and input it. Because they have pretty much everything done for them, up until the actual, like, putting it into Battle.net is needed. I mean, I know people were arguing, like, quality control for the maps and making sure that it worked on a lot of computer types. And that's fair enough. Quality control, I guess in general, is a profession, right? But I just feel like I don't know. I feel like they could outsource a lot of this to the map makers. But oh well. Ends up being a, of course, normal game, as Harstem was not proxying. ShowTimE maybe changed up his opening units a little bit in fear of something more dangerous, but eventually gets to a typical 2 Stalker, 3 Sentry. And then 2 more Stalkers just warp in, because usually the plan's going into Blink anyways. It does maybe delay his Blink. Maybe you shouldn't have warped them in, but... Both gonna get some scouting very soon. And they both are going into +1 into Twilight Council. And now we kind of wait. Hallucination from both sides, as I said, even immediately following up with the second one. If you see that there's no reason to keep your energy, then there's no reason to keep your energy. You just keep on sending out hallucinations. And it's one of the most, like, visible map-hacky matchups possible in this particular moment. Like, next minute. Hallucinations on hallucinations. Since they both are doing almost the exact same thing, Blink and +1 very similar, Robo timings fairly similar, Gateway timing similar. God. The only thing, I guess, that is a decent change, ShowTimE is kind of far ahead on this 3rd base. Like, not even though, not even really. Yeah. It's very similar. ShowTimE is ahead 3 probes. I guess that's worth noting. Harstem's starting to build up now as his 3rd base gets closer to finishing. ShowTime pushes out, but with a very non-committal group of units. The War Prism isn't here, although I think... Oh no, that's Harstem building one. Yeah, so ShowTime has no War Prism, barely that many Stalkers. It's not, Blink's not even done. It's Harstem who's actually going to be aggressive, and I don't believe the Hallucination saw the War Prism. The War Prism, you know, signifies 7 times out of 10 that it's going to be an attack. The other 3 times, it's going to be for harassment. It just like parks itself off into the left, right? In this case, definitely going to be an attack. Harstem's blink is done. ShowTime is seconds away from having his own +1 and a shield battery down his third base, so he should be fine unless he is caught out of position, which is a really big point in game 2. Very, very similar unit counts. And now ShowTime even dominating the Stalker count means that Harstem, what can you really do? You could try and take a fight and out-micro your opponent with your Warp Prism adding an additional blink, if you will, but going up a ramp, going up against shield batteries, not really worth it. So the Warp Prism, maybe not the most worthwhile investment right now. It's fine. Provided a little bit of a blip there for ShowTime to have to take that seriously. Maybe his +2 was delayed by 10-15 seconds because he was like, okay, hold on, need to defend this. So Harstem has a +2 timing attack that he might be able to hit. So +2 and charge with a couple of Immortals, a couple of Archons. That would be a lot more powerful, a lot more promising. ShowTime's just behind him on all of those aspects, of course, but is behind him. Forget new maps, brings back some old maps. Yeah, that's also absolutely an option. There's so many options that make it so easy for them, and I don't know if they're gonna do it, guys. I don't know. Harstem's push is coming in the next 20 seconds. ShowTime needs to get prepared, and he is absolutely getting prepared, realizing, I mean, just the course of things here, right? He saw the War Prism, he saw Harstem not commit, knows that Harstem must be building up for another attack, and he absolutely is, was tracking the army. He just needs to buy a couple extra seconds for his upgrades to finish and his Archons to form. And then ShowTime can try and use the defensive high ground to win any engagements that do happen. ShowTime's still out-upgraded, but high grounds. No shield batteries at the 4th, though. Alright, the fight's gonna happen. Both of them slapping down some force fields to keep away the army when they can, but the Archons are involved on both sides, just breaking all those force fields. ShowTime backing up, losing these reinforcements as fast as possible, and they're coming in strong, very strong, on top of the Stalkers, on top of the Immortal. The Archons are actually already pulled back, and as such, we're not helping a whole ton against that charge out reinforcement. The Stalkers blink forward aggressively now into the shots of an Archon, which may be not the best thing for ShowTime to do. I thought he was going to go after the Warp Prism, and maybe he meant to, but couldn't blink far enough forward. I don't know, but that was a little more awkward. ShowTime was kind of slam dunking that, and then kind of maybe like the ball kind of like ran around the rim a little while before it actually dropped through the hoop. But it is nonetheless a defense there from ShowTime, whose +2 also finished kind of during that engagement. So it wasn't the perfect timing that Harstem was hoping for. So Harstem's 4th base isn't really that far behind. He still has 5 more probes. The economies are still very similar, if not actually favoring Harstem still. And his +3s are already started. A single Zealot doing some decent scouting. It's a very small hit squad, but it is a hit squad. Before there's a ton of stack defense, it's something. ShowTime's still not investing into +3, was definitely looking for an attack. And no +3, no robo. He's looking for an attack, and Harstem's little hit squad just bought Harstem 7 more seconds, 10 more seconds. ShowTime may be rethinking the strategy, trying to add on some stack defense back at home, but if he's gonna not attack, then he has to add on an upgrade or technology. There we finally have a robotics bay. Good scouting from Harstem with a pylon off to the left. It looks like ShowTime still really wants to hit the attack, but you know, the time has been ticking. Harstem even knows the time has been ticking. And ShowTime's not really going to commit anymore. But that means that his robotics space not as fast. His +3 is definitely not as fast. That was the biggest gap right there. And he doesn't have a second robo being built yet either, so his disruptor count's not going to rise as fast as Harstem's. There it is. As soon as he can afford it. Hallucinations coming out, trying to see if the armies are just chilling back at home. If disruptor counts are already there. It's kind of the only things to really scout at this point. 4th base saturation, maybe the presence of a 5th base, which is now slapped down. Not really gonna go into Stargates this quickly. That'd be very bold. A Dark Shrine is being built for Harstem, and ShowTimE shouldn't be too far behind on that. We're on the 5th base. He needs to make sure he's staying on the same pace as Harstem. Right now, Harstem's the one setting it. Warp Prism, a couple of Archon, or Immortals rather. So Immortals, less and less useful as it becomes more of either a mobile game, not like a mobile game, you know, like mobility game, with charge lots and stalkers and disruptors. Oh my god, I couldn't. Oh my god. Oh no. Okay, well, that's not good for ShowTimE, who loses like 15 supply right off the bat. Forced to recall a hit squad of stalkers he had set up to hit Harstem's 4th base. And ShowTimE is once again on the defensive, down in supply, down in upgrade. But yeah, the Immortals just get you more useless, right? They can't keep up with the stalkers, they can't harass like the Zealots do, so might as well give them the way in a Warp Prism, see what they can do there. Disruptor finally going the way of ShowTimE. He catches a couple of Zealots, and he's setting up a bit of a surround as well, which I absolutely love. If Harstem feels overconfident and moves in, it could be disastrous. He doesn't, though. He pulls back. He uses a lot of his remaining supply to warp in charge lots harassment-wise with the Immortals helping out. It is just going to be enough. Disruptor gets a slight pop on the Immortal, making it easier to clean up for him. As ShowTimE also brings back a large portion of his Zealots, this will be cleaned up. And what did it do? It got into the probe line, it killed a pylon, actually just powered 4 gateways. That might be... I don't think it's going to be that big, but, you know, 3 gateways is a lot. 4 gateways, I can count. +3 is finally done for ShowTimE. He's also warping a couple of stalkers to actually dislodge this Warp Prism, but the stalkers kept getting hit by the Immortals, so Warp Prism's still alive. Wow, this actually became really annoying. Finally, some stalkers come forward for ShowTimE. But he knows he also has to not be distracted. He has to look on the front lines, and my goodness, that is a lot of disruptors. Shooting out most of their attacks for only a small portion of an army. The rest of the army is either in the main base or protecting ShowTimE's 5th. All of his stalkers were over here defending against the Zealot, which means that Harstem is actually going to go ahead and push in, which he absolutely should push in, to ShowTimE's 4th. Now ShowTimE starts to maneuver his disruptors over this way. I guess they were in the middle for a little while. And now as ShowTimE is consolidated, he is looking a lot better to take this fight. But as he moves together into one big blob and then he actually goes after the disruptors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 disruptors being killed by ShowTimE. He also does lose control of his 5th base. But he just took down almost every disruptor, if not every disruptor. Harstem has 2 on the field, a 3rd one on the way. And if ShowTimE can muster up a defense here, he could try and continue with the momentum, but can't have the warp-ins, is forced to recall a large chunk of his army. He could probably still try to attack, but it's getting really dangerous. It's all over the place. ShowTimE has, nonetheless, as weird as that was, as much action as it was, not weird, it was just a lot of action, has taken a lead. I guess it was just waiting for Harstem to rebuild his army, though, so now it is evened up once again. Upgrades are also looking quite even. A Dark Shrine finally on the way for ShowTimE. His disruptor count, though, that is where it's really impressive for ShowTimE. He's got 9. So far, they're not getting too many shots. They're trying to hit the stalkers, but Harstem, with some really good splits on those stalkers, made it very difficult for ShowTimE to know exactly what he wanted to hit, and apparently that was all of the disruptors of ShowTimE's attacks. He had 9 disruptors, and he's down to 1, and it's about to die. What? Oh, you never see that happen. 9 disruptors. And they didn't really get that very much. And Harstem, meanwhile, at least just took out like 12 Zealots there. Supplies are still pretty even. In fact, still slightly favoring ShowTimE, but his disruptors, now non-existent, has to reinforce, and they're going to be back at home, obviously, not here on the front lines, whereas Harstem's disruptors clearly will be here immediately as soon as possible. He's also got shield batteries to go back to and warp-ins that are immediately happening, as I don't see ShowTimE's Warp Prism anywhere. I don't think he has one. So ShowTimE can't really do a whole lot more with this. He's gonna try and outmaneuver Harstem, though, and so far, Harstem doesn't realize it. No observers over this army. No observers is kind of a big deal for Harstem. No observer in case DTs come in, no observers to see where the army is, where there's hidden disruptors. He's a bit blind. ShowTime at least has one, and it is tracking the army. I guess while everyone was roaming around, the disruptor count back up to 3 for each. Now it's ShowTime who has the faster reinforcements, though. Very similar compositions otherwise. And very similar upgrades in just a hot second. Good deny on that shot. ShowTime was about to get like 10 zealots. Harstem denied it. And now Climate, damn it. Overcharge for the shield batteries is here, which saves the disruptor from getting sniped by Harstem. Harstem also having to retreat awkwardly away from a dozen zealots of ShowTime, who then pounces on top of the one disruptor that Harstem had, and Harstem doesn't have any more shots, which means that ShowTime is once again maybe going to chase, decides not to, doesn't know when that cooldown is going to be off, and just reinforces a very, very tight game. Finally, some harassment coming in here. Just a couple of probes going down. I have no idea where. I guess they're going to build, and the DTs took them out. That's what happened. And now Harstem realizes that's not where things are happening. Takes out the DTs, but doesn't find the Warp Prism, which tries to sneak itself over into the dead space, and it will successfully do so. ShowTime takes the opportunity to chase down the chasers and kill a couple of observers, kill a couple of stalkers, deny this base from Harstem, or maybe not, having to respond very quickly as Harstem moves in on ShowTime's third base, kills one of the disruptors, gets an excellent shot on top of ShowTime's zealots as well, and Harstem is going to retreat from that, or maybe not actually. Oh my god! The disruptor from Harstem! It wasn't sniped. ShowTime lost so much supply, some of his own disruptors as well. Gets a counter snipe at the very least, and is going to hold at the same supply again. But man, some of these fights feel like they are going to be it, and then there's not. They're not. It's just close enough. They have just enough bank to replenish. I mean, okay, the game goes on. ShowTime is finally going to get the kill or cancel on this base. There we go. Finally happens, but then might be surrounded. One disruptor not going to get its shot as Harstem, very good at target firing, leaves ShowTime at no disruptors. But ShowTime at least pulls back to defensive cannons, shield batteries, is looking towards an extra base as he definitely needs one. I mean, they both need one. But ShowTime also needs more disruptors, 2 to 4. Harstem also working on +2 shields. That's kind of an expensive upgrade. I guess he can't afford it right now. He's maxed out and he has a bank, so that is something that might help. A little bit extra. Both parties fighting over the bottom right. Harstem's little harassment squad looks to be stronger than ShowTime's defensive squad, but ShowTime has CTs, and Harstem did an observer, so that's that. ShowTime will continue on his way to his 6th base while also defending his 5th, although Harstem, maybe realizing he's not paying attention, good stalker presence to see if he does move. Has his disruptors ready, but then, oh, that aggressive blink forward is very dangerous. But he gets a disruptor, he gets a Warp Prism, and Harstem will only lose 1 disruptor for it. +2 shields is done for Harstem, but we know it's all about the disruptors anyways. ShowTime's reinforcing disruptor can't do very much. It was out in the open, easily sniped, and 4th base of ShowTime is now dead and gone. But at least he has his 5th, and as I said, working on his 6th, which is almost going to be done. So this could be actually eerily similar to what Harstem had to do in the last series, which was give up his 4th base entirely. Good focus fire there from ShowTime, takes down 2 disruptors by the looks of it. A 3rd disruptor stops him from chasing, but then he shoots. Okay, Harstem is still paying attention. Lots of things are happening on the map. ShowTime now once again defending this 5th base. Needs it. He absolutely needs it. More DTs are being warped in, but there's an observer this time around. Also still fighting in the middle of the map. Disruptors to disruptors. Anytime you're not paying attention could be the death of your army and the loss of the game. Now just kind of zoning away. Harstem has found a nice little nook here into the 5th base of ShowTime, and there's nothing that ShowTime can do about it. He's trying to weigh out the disruptors, but actually mistimes his blink, takes a hit to the face, and won't be able to save his cannons, his stag defense, and will even be able to save the 5th base. It looks like he will, but he's taken 25 probes with the damage. He's looking for some good shots with his disruptors from behind, however. 2 of them get some decent shots, but then revenge is had as Harstem takes down 2 of them. Zealots on top of them actually mean that they cannot shoot. They don't have a shot anyways. There's the blink forward to take down the last 2 disruptors of ShowTime, and Harstem ends it with a shot of disruptor. Doesn't actually get very much, but still, Harstem taking what now seems to be an actual solid supply lead, one that isn't immediately replaced from ShowTime with his bank, as ShowTime does not have a bank. He's trying to come in with a surround, but he has no disruptors. He doesn't have DT blink either, which I think would change. Oh, he does! Oh my god, he does! The DT's jumping on top adds so much extra damage, and suddenly ShowTime seems to be taking a good fight, but now Harstem's able to retreat, blink defensively, gonna go after the observers, and then I guess... Actually, I'm surprised he goes after the observers. It's not like he has his own DTs warping in. Oh, I guess if he takes care of ShowTime's observers, then ShowTime can't take up his observers. Okay, I get that. But unfortunately, what ended up happening is that ShowTime did take care of Harstem's observers, so... Harstem's trying to rebuild them, lickety splits, and they're almost here, but he is forced to retreat away from the Blink Stalkers and the Blink DTs, but Harstem looks like he was able to get ShowTime's 5th base, one that he absolutely needed. Now ShowTime just down to 1.5 mining bases. He's kind of on his last hurrah right now. He's down 30 supply. He's got a disruptor that's not going to hit as much as he would like. Stag defense is protecting the space as well for Harstem, and Harstem, as soon as he knows there's no disruptor shots, and there isn't any, he is going to move forward with the superior armor supply, superior upgrades, and take the fight here. He can do it. There's not even static defense anymore around this base for ShowTime. Harstem could try and kill him right here, or he could try and play out a longer game. Either one is probably still a good option for Harstem, who is just taking the leads in Game 5, and looks to be winning, I think, one of his first Open Cups. It's either his first win or one of very few. And against a powerhouse of ShowTime. But it's happening. It is happening. Harstem, he's got enough to work with here that he's going to be able to push this back, and ShowTime's disruptor is not going to get that amazing shot. And the supplies are telling the tale. Harstem's not even using his entire supply right here. GG. Harstem, 3-2 over ShowTime. Takes the best of 5. Well played.